Welcome to Chefs in the City. I'm Ann Fisher, along with my co-hosts, Steve Stover and Rich Tirapak. Thanks for joining us. Remember, a meal is best shared, so make sure your friends and family know about Chefs in the City wherever you get your podcasts. Today, we're talking with the owner of what has become an institution of fine dining in Central Ohio, Kamal Boulos. Boulos. I just asked him, right? I mean, this is like real life, sad situation. Also, what can I say? Kamal Boulos of the Refectory on Bethel Road. Welcome to Chefs in the City.
Thank you.
The Refectory is celebrating its 50th anniversary. It started as the old church house restaurant.
Correct.
Okay, and how else besides its name has it changed over the years? 50 years, wow. I mean, that's just great.
Yeah. Well, it's just been a constant evolution in so many ways. When it stopped being the old church house restaurant, was sold at the end of 80, beginning of 81, construction began. And what they did was remodel the existing space at that time.
From what to what, sort of?
Well, what is now our lounge was the entire restaurant when it was the old church house restaurant. Oh. There's a dining area in the corridor on your way up to the larger main dining room. That dining area in the corridor was our kitchen.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Because you guys were in it back before the renovation.
What was the main dining room?
Just
the church?
all boarded up.
Oh, really?
All boarded up.
Beautiful.
Vacant. Yeah. There was nothing there. There was no plumbing, electrical. It was just a shell of a building.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it started that way. And the idea, of course, was that as that became successful, then they would expand into the existing space that was there. And the restaurant did not do well financially. I think it got some pretty good accolades in the beginning.
After the expansion?
Before.
Before, gotcha.
Yeah. So it didn't work well. So a year into it, the investors that were not necessarily operating it took it over. Raised more money, and then the plan at the time was to open a disco in the other side.
Well, it was the 80s. The mirrored ball is still someplace in the attic.
80s is screaming at us.
Yeah. So that plan came to fruition in 1977.
Okay.
The idea was to open a disco. They recast the partnership, and we're going to expand in the existing space into a disco.
Okay.
That was the big thing at the time.
Yeah.
And the restaurant continued to not do well financially, so all those funds were gone. And then it was just a matter of survival at that point. So from 78 to 80, I was a general manager, and I couldn't afford to hire a chef, so I was self-taught and worked with a few other chefs, so I cooked. Took a young lady that was a server at the time, and in fact, her sister worked with us for over 40 years later on. But anyway, I made her the maitre d'. I said, if you need anything, I'm in the kitchen, and we got to keep going.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was extraordinary. I mean, we hung on by our fingertips, and I mean literally for 3 years.
And you were very young at this time for doing that.
Since you're only about 25 right now.
That's right.
Dad, you were a child.
Mid-20s maybe?
Yeah, I think when I started there, 76, I was 24. So I worked there part-time a little bit, and then came on full-time in 77.
So you guys remember this back then?
No.
Barely.
Okay.
Barely.
Yeah.
I can remember the old church
house.
Yeah. It had kind of like a continental European style bent to it. The opening chef was French Canadian. My first weekend working there was when the chef just didn't show up, and so I was connected with the investors, and
they brought you in.
They brought me in, and I was really literally in Columbus because I was planning on going out to Las Vegas. And so I stopped by to visit them because I met them in upstate New York. I was running a dining room in a ranch resort. We had 100 horses, an indoor-outdoor pool, and I ran the dining room. It sat about 500 people.
Whoa.
And so they were there as guests, and they were investors, and I got to know them. So I thought, when I left New York and heading out to Las Vegas, I know these people in Columbus. I'll stop by and visit them. And they had told me about their dreams to open this restaurant because that was kind of on the docket of their investments. And so it had been open about a month, and they brought me there to dinner. And we walked in, and literally as soon as I sat down, they said, "What do you think?" What am I going to say? It's great. They're buying me dinner.
You need some help.
I hadn't even opened the menu yet. So they said, no, really, tell us what you think. I said, well, that lady on the doorway is maybe, not the best person to have on a doorway. They said, that's the managing general partner. I said, oh, she's got a lot on her mind, which is true. She just had opened a month or two before, and she's got, so it was hard for her to kind of like keep her arms around every detail of it. So anyway, they wanted to bring me on. She didn't because it was her baby. So I said, fine. I didn't intend to stay in Columbus. So they offered me a job in their securities company because that's what they did. They were investment people that had an intrastate securities company. So I got out to Las Vegas and thought, I haven't done anything different most of my life. So I thought maybe I'll go back and learn the securities business. So I came back, got my securities license, and worked for them for about a year. I hated it. Just was not me at all. But during that year, whenever they needed an extra pair of hands, I was sort of on deck. And so I just went up and would help, typically always in the kitchen, honestly. So, yeah. So I did that for a year. They took it back from her and then brought me on board like a couple months after into this journey to the disco full time. And
oh my God.
yeah.
So it did become a disco.
No.
Oh, it was a journey,
no,
but it never was completed.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
they had blueprints, they had investors, and they brought me on to run the dining room and the kitchen. And it was an extraordinary journey. The restaurant kept losing money, and then finally there were three managers, a general manager and myself and another assistant manager. The two of them were investors. So I was kind of like the odd man out, but I knew food and service and things like that. They were bar people. They owned a bar on campus, so that was their background.
Okay.
But they were investors. So now the old church house wasn't going to make it any longer, and we didn't need three managers there. So I said, well, I'll leave. And they said, no, you're the only one that knows, how to run the food and the service, so you have to stay. And that was in 1978 when all the monies they raised for the disco was also gone. So now it was just a matter of surviving.
Bit of luck, actually.
Yeah. And So anyways,
that didn't last, but.
Yeah. So I took over as general manager, and we broke even the first month I had it and just kept on hanging on by a fingernail. I owed vendors $100,000. I can't do that today.
In 1978, that's a lot of money.
You just can't do that. Would be way over.
I can't run up my debt to vendors today at $100,000. I think things were pretty loose back in those days.
Yeah.
They kept bringing the deliveries because they figured, well, the people behind it are good for it. But they were still unsecured creditors.
Sure.
Yeah. So the restaurant was grossing like maybe $360,000 a year, and we were $100,000 in debt. That's not easy.
No, that sounds almost U.S. federal government like.
So you decided to go back to investment banking?
So anyway, I just tried to keep going. I went on COD with everybody. I called up all the vendors and said, I'm going to pay.
Don't deliver it if I don't.
I'm going to pay you so much a week on the old balance. Now you'll appreciate this. I called Michael Block. Right?
Oh, yeah, wow.
I owed Michael's Meat $7,000.
Oh.
And I said, I'm going to go COD. And he said, great. I said, I'm going to give you so much a week because I'm going to get a weekly delivery on the old balance. He said, how much? I said, $15. You can imagine what he was screaming at you.
$15. What, did you look at what was in your wallet or something?
So he said, $50. I said, no, $15.
1.5.
I said 1.5. And
he was doing well. He could handle it.
He said, he just started cursing. It was an insult. It was an insult, right? Yeah. I said, you're not the only one I owe money to. And he said, really? I said, no, I'm in debt to all the vendors, $100,000. And he got really quiet. I said, if I get if I'm able to survive, you might have a chance of getting something. If I go down, you get nothing. So he said, okay, I'll take the $15.
Wow.
So,
Whoa.
That's
Those were the olden days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, you guys, just what the scene was like in Columbus back in late 70s, early 80s for food.
There was a little
'Cause
bit
you guys were here
of,
too.
of continental cuisine at the time. Was it Armagnac and a couple others, but they faded pretty promptly in the 80s or so, and that's when you took off.
Yeah.
Was hospitality your training in school or something, or is it
Not in school, but I had a really good incubator, and I was really fortunate. And never did I dream in a million years at that time that this would be my trajectory in life. When I was 14 years old, I worked in a place called Lake Mohonk in upstate New York. Think of like the Nemacolin, Greenbrier. It's like this incredibly beautiful resort. At that time, no smoking in the dining room. This was 1966.
Wow.
And you still had guests.
That's fantastic.
I started working there in 1966, no smoking in the dining room. It was owned by a Quaker family who still owns it. They serve no alcohol at the time. Now they've come into the 21st century. They have an incredible dining experience. But the only reason I was able to work there is because my classmate, his family owned the place.
Like you were 14, so
I was 14. I was underage.
high school.
Yeah, I was underage. But they said, because he's your friend, we'll let you work there. So the dining room sat 750 people.
Oh.
And so nobody sat me down and talked to me about what this experience was going to be like, but I knew intuitively I better not make him look bad. So I just watched what he did. And he was a very humble person. He didn't walk around like, look, my parents own the place. I mean, you wouldn't know that he was their son unless you knew him.
Yeah.
So he had a much different attention to detail, a much different work ethic. He always had the 30,000-foot view. He had just a different mindset and attitude. That became me.
Okay.
I mean, imagine if you're 14 years old, regardless of the job you get, if the people surrounding you are moaning and groaning and gossiping and complaining about everything.
Such a drag.
That would have been me.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better than any studies, I guess. They probably could have gone to Pittsburgh or someplace and studied, but no.
It really, it gave me deep roots. And so I never thought that it would come to fruition. But there were three of us, myself and him and another friend of ours. And when the three of us were scheduled, sometimes it made it he would give the other five guys off. So there were 8 busboys in that dining room.
750.
So the three of us would bus a dining room of 750 ourselves. Yeah.
Did they serve
no
the
tipping.
meals on like
Individual. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was an extraordinary experience. And it was so guest-centric and guest-driven. And again,
Which is what the Refectory is known
became me.
for.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Well, it's like
just
the
from the
Ritz
moment you
system.
step in the door.
Yeah.
And I think it was interesting, your observation when you first visited it the first time that, the lady at the front door, because you got that it mattered
Right.
who greets you when you walk in.
Yeah, the Lake Mohonk was an extraordinary experience. And I'll never forget my senior year in high school. Ben Madison was the general manager, and his daughter was also in my class, and he's connected with the family. Now, I never really it didn't affect my life or my work ethic or anything, so I always did a great job at work, but I made a lot of stupid choices in my life. So I was going through a lot of self-destructive behavior and didn't care about excelling or didn't care about school. And I remember walking down the hall one day. This was 1970, the year I graduated high school. And he comes running out in the hall. There's hundreds of people that work in this place. I mean, it's on 7,000 acres on top of a mountain. Wow. Golf course. I mean, it's a big place.
Yeah.
So he comes running out and says, come here, I want to talk to you. And he sits me down and he puts a dot on a piece of paper and he draws a circle on it. He said, see that dot? I said, yeah. He said, that's you. So this circle, that's your world. And as long as you keep making the same choices in life, that will always be your world. And I knew what he was talking about.
Subtle. It was subtle.
He knew you knew you knew you.
That's exactly right. Right?
I might try to use that sometime.
And, and I looked down, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? And then he put a dot on the other edge of the circle and drew another circle, put a dot on the other edge, drew another circle. He says, or you can make different choices in life and you could choose to grow. He said, the years are going to go by. He said, but growing and maturing in life is an option. It doesn't happen just because the time goes by. You have to learn to make different choices. It was like a 3-minute conversation. I walked out of there thinking, man, what was all that about? I didn't care. I mean, I was a punk. I didn't care about anything. And that was 1970. 1991, he was still there. I went back there as part of my honeymoon as the owner of the Refectory Restaurant.
Oh, wonderful. Wow.
And I was able to tell him that it took some years to take root, but I never forgot it.
Yeah.
But it made such a huge
Great
difference.
story.
Yeah.
What a great,
Yeah.
he must have been so gratified.
Yeah. He said, you're the only one that ever came back. When I told that story, he said, you're not the first one I did the dot in a circle with.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you're known for, and one of the reasons that we all love you so much, is the wine cellar. Talk to us about, because I know you had like 8 bottles of wine when you first opened.
Yeah.
Back in the olden days.
Yeah.
And if they had box wine, you would have had that too. But so
We never carried wine coolers. We always made our own. When that was a thing, I said, no, we're not going to carry wine coolers.
So did you start that?
I did. I didn't really understand the landscape at the time in Columbus. And at that time, a distributor would own your wine list and print it for you. And, you know, growing up in upstate New York, I had an interest in wine. In fact, when the investors that were visiting, you know, the ranch I was working with, they didn't like the wines on the wine list, which I had no control over. I was the maitre d' there, so I'd bring them wine out of my room. So, at any rate, I always wanted to cellar wine and do something that nobody else was doing. And so we would put a wine on a wine list. If the next vintage wasn't as great, we'd take it off. You know, we'd find something that we thought was, you know, more worthy. And I had no idea I was getting all these distributors really upset with me because they thought when I took a wine off the wine list, it was because I didn't like them.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't giving them the business that they once had. And so it was just this roller coaster ride of trying to understand the landscape because they were used to owning the whole wine list. And so we just started cellaring wine. And, you know, we started off, like you said, with a dozen bottles. And every time I asked Richie and Benny, who bought the restaurant in 1980 and then began modeling it in 81, remodeling it. So it became the Refectory, right? So every time I asked them, look, I'm going to build the wine list. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. All they said to me, their marching orders, and they didn't even have a key to their own restaurant. They just let me run it. Their marching orders, well, we don't really care what you do. You just make sure you pay your bills. Because we're known in the community. We can't be associated with a business that can't pay us.
Right.
What a great opportunity.
Oh,
yeah. And,
Wow.
and they were a construction company.
Yeah.
So you had some people who could work on these internally.
So I built the whole wine cellar because I had the opportunity to. And,
But you didn't have training in it.
Well, I educated myself.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I was interested in wine. I wanted to cellar wine, and I knew that I wanted to do something on a level that nobody else was doing. So I educated myself, then passed the baton to Jeff Olasky, and he was with us for 37 years. He passed away 10 years ago, and he took it to the next level.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew nothing about wine, and I knew a lot about wine. By the time we got done, he knew a lot more about wine than I did.
Well, then how the space?
Yeah.
In 1981, there was a major rake. So tell us about
They
that.
remodeled into the existing building.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they added a kitchen to the north side of the corridor area. And so that became our kitchen, and then that corridor became a dining room and access to the other wing of the building. And then they remodeled the upstairs dining room that, you know, was totally not used at all. So it went from a 50-seat to 150-seat restaurant.
Wow. What was that like?
Well,
You had to hire a few more people.
The crazy part of that, the crazy part of that story was that Richie and Benny went to the closing, as I did, on a Friday afternoon. Right, they just bought this building. All of those, not investors, the vendors, they got 95 to 98 cents on a dollar. They were very happy. Right.
Okay.
So carrying that debt worked out really well for them. So I go to the closing Friday afternoon, All the vendors are paid off. They're happy. I go back to the restaurant. I'm cooking that night because remember, I can't afford Iron Chef. So Richie walks in on Saturday. It's 7:00 in the middle of the night. I'm trying to like put orders out, pay attention. He wants to have a conversation because he bought this new toy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he said, "What do you think we need here?" And I said, "Well, we need a wider kitchen because it was that narrow corner."
Yeah.
So he said, "Well, how
Pullman
big?" I just threw out a number because sometimes, if I had some time, I'd take out a tape measure and dream, boy, if I had $1 million, I'd do this, that, or the other thing. I just threw out a number. It's like 7 or 8 o'clock on Saturday. We're closed on Sunday. He's in the construction business.
Yep.
8 o'clock on Monday. I walked in at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday, and he had already dug the footers based on the number I gave him. That was our kitchen.
It's his new toy. And
Man of action.
Yeah. So the construction took place over 6 months. Every time he asked me a question after that, I said, "Let me get back to you."
Do you wish you would have asked for more?
Oh my gosh, yeah. and the funny part of that is he gave us a new kitchen, but he moved the exact same equipment back in a larger space. So there was a walk-in cooler that was the size, 6 by 8.
Yeah.
That was a walk-in cooler for a 50-seat restaurant.
Yes.
Now we
You
have
have 150.
150 seats.
Okay.
It was the same walk-in cooler.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It was insane. And, we just couldn't function. And after a year, I said, "Richie, this is just not working." And so he added a kitchen.
Oh, that's how you got 2 kitchens.
The big new kitchen.
Yeah,
Okay.
he added more to the kitchen.
Okay.
And, being enterprising and an entrepreneur, smart man, he said, if we went a little higher, we could put a private room up here. So that's how we got the upstairs banquet room, which absolutely saved our business.
Yeah, the special occasion type things.
Exactly. So he put in a 3-story addition. That was in 1983.
When did you get a chef?
Well, we got an opening chef when it became the Refectory.
Okay,
and he
good.
was with us. In fact, there were 2 co-chefs. One of them was Mike Sullivan, who came from Ollie's Grandview Inn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that was in Grandview. He was an extraordinarily talented chef. And then another one was Dennis Hutchison. He came out of the CIA, so they were co-chefs. So that took us through the first 5 years. And then the next chef was Don Hauk. That took us through another 5 years. And then Chef Richard's been there for the last 34 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's
Even 5 years sounds like you were able to keep chefs on for a nice, healthy
Yeah.
versus,
Yeah.
a year in and a year out kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, in 1991, we won the Grand Award for the Wine Spectator.
Yes.
And so that was Jeff's taking it to a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
He and I would
Alaska.
be there till like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, dreaming about building a great wine cellar. So we got that piece, because that was our own effort. Now we wanted the restaurant to be on the same level. We had this world-class wine cellar. We needed a world-class chef. So I talked to Don Hauk, who passed away some years ago. He was our chef. Great guy, great chef. I said, "I want to take it to this level." He said, "Well, I've never really lived on that level." So I said, "Well, let's help each other here. You try to find something, I'll try to find a chef, and if you find something first, give me as much time as you possibly can, and I'll do the same."
Oh, meaning if you want to move on,
Right.
we'll do this amicably. And,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically, I told him I was going to try and find another chef that could get us to the mountaintop, and then in the meantime, he would look for the next journey in his world to climb. So as it turned out, that was probably about a year-long process. 3 months after that conversation, Chef Richard contacted me.
Oh, he contacted you.
I was going to say, did you call Paul Bocuse or something?
He was,
Where was he?
He was in Colorado, in Vail, Colorado.
Okay, so there's no...
He had started out at L'Auberge in Dayton,
Okay.
and then went out to
Okay,
Colorado.
so he was an Ohio guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had connected with him when he was at L'Auberge.
Okay.
And I had called him just after he took the job in Vail. He said, "Oh, I just took a job in Vail." I said, "Well, I hope it works out." 9 months later or so, he called me. And,
There you go.
Yeah. And he connected with me. And so he loved Colorado, but the chef he was working with, who was from France, owned the restaurant. His wife was out front. And the chef...
Sound familiar?
And Chef Richard was just not using his skills. The chef owner, would, if he put a steak on a grill, would come over and move it a half inch.
Oh.
So he said he doesn't need someone like me.
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to use my skills, I'm going to lose them.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he agreed to come on board. And then Don had probably 3 months in advance, knowing, to look for the next thing. And then we paid him for about another 3 months after that to help him land on his feet.
Now,
And
Chef
Richard
was-
is from Lyon, in
Lyon,
France.
that's right.
Yeah.
Chef was
The home of Bocuse.
Yeah. So it's been an extraordinary journey, just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tried to make him a partner after he'd been there a year because I was thinking, man, I'm going to pass the restaurant off to him. I took him down to our attorney at the time and created this LLC. And on the drive back, he said, I might make you a great chef, but a lousy partner.
That's great.
I don't want any part of what you do.
Well, that was candid. Well, now, you are known as the special occasion restaurant in Columbus. The Refectory is. How did that come to be, and what are the elements of the special occasion?
Well, it's not so much. I mean, to me, it's a far different experience if you're going to go out and spend a little bit of money in a loud place on your way to something.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily fine dining. There's obviously a lot of places that do that really well. I always wanted to not necessarily serve a large number of people, but I wanted to create an experience. That's where my heart was. That was where my bent was. So I think of ourselves as being in the hospitality business, not necessarily being in the restaurant business. And that's always
There is a difference.
There is.
Yeah.
Do you think that's from your roots in upstate New York?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I want people to be able to converse. They don't have to shout across the table.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to relax, not feeling like we're going to rush them out. And I want people to enjoy the finest that we can put together in terms of the food and the service and the wines. And, because, I tell people all the time, it's a jungle out there. You're safe here. Take a breath and relax. We're not going to rush you out of here.
Yeah,
And,
that's still a thing now.
Yeah.
And you've expanded then to having special dinners and entertainment dinners. So the two things added to the...
Yeah.
Well, like the mystery things and like what?
Well, no, the Patrick Allen dinners about the wines of southern France.
Yeah, we do a lot of wine.
And then they have live music sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked with Patrick Allen. I'm glad you brought that up because we've talked with him about these tariffs and more the uncertainty of the tariffs that we're going through right now at the top of the food chain in this country. And I'm wondering, given the fact that, you're considered among the world's top dining establishments for its wine selection. That's how you won the Wine Spectator's prestigious Grand Award. How do you manage that with this, or do you have enough stockpiled?
With the unknown of the tariffs?
Yeah.
Well, it clearly will influence our purchases because we don't know what's ahead. So we might take a larger position in a wine, not knowing what's going to happen in the future. So it'll influence that part of it.
More risk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not so much risk. It's just like you're tying up dollars that you may not necessarily tie up if the distributor has a pipeline and the price is more stable.
Does it show up in the price point? I mean, does it show up in the pricing and for the consumer?
Well, I mean, if we're smart enough to take a deep position in something,
It
not so
doesn't
much.
have to,
As long as you've got the inventory.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't show up right away.
Yeah. In fact, when we first built our wine cellar, I had this vision of doing this event or doing this project on a certain level and went to the Masonette. The Masonette gave me a tour of their wine cellar.
In Cincinnati.
In Cincinnati,
Great restaurant.
Yeah. And, their wine cellar was the size of our dining room. It was just huge. And they would take this huge position in a certain wine. Because I always wondered how they did that. They would always have these nuggets, right? Yeah. So they would buy 150, 200 cases of one wine.
Whoa.
They had room for them.
Yeah. So I came back, right? We had 40 wines on the wine list. So I came back with this vision in my mind. And so I bought 60 cases of one wine. Not smart. No. Right? But it was like, well, that's what they did. That's what I should do. I should have bought 60 cases of 60 different ones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As it turned out, it worked out really wonderfully because that helped finance our wine cellar. We put that bottle of wine on the wine list for $22 a bottle. It was retailing for $18 after we'd cellared it for 2 years. By the time we got to the end of those 60 cases, we were selling it for $125 a bottle. And we were less than anyone else in the United States.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was dumb luck.
Wow.
That's great. It's terrific.
Jeez.
One of the other things you're known for, because I've done a lot of this for my law firm, is your catering services.
Yeah, we don't do the large ones that we used to anymore.
Okay.
Well, COVID had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Getting people.
We work together on a lot of them.
Yeah. Before COVID, we were open Monday through Saturday. Now we're open Wednesday through Saturday.
Okay.
And Mondays and Tuesdays, we just do private events. So we have a lot less people floating around. So we do catering. But
And you
we're
can
just
manage it and
small
plan it, but it's
Well, I mean, it works well for us. I mean, the guys that work in the kitchen, they put in a 4-day week and work 12 hours a day. They love it. And they get 3 days off.
I wanted to ask you, how, I mean, we've heard from so many people, a part of kind of what we've talked about repeatedly through the last year on the podcast has been the impact of the pandemic and how it kind of permanently changed some things. Permanent's a long time, but, like the hours, it's, the folks who have gone into the private dining experience and because they can make the absolute phenomenal food and control the costs.
All of the changes we've made, we've never gone back.
Okay.
I mean, we have less people in the kitchen. We're open less hours or less days in the week. We have fewer tables in the dining room. Before COVID, on a busy Saturday night, we would probably do 250 people. Now we max it out at 150. So we're committing ourselves to creating a quality experience and not just to see how busy can we get tonight.
Did your menu change?
The menu is now
smaller?
printed. Yeah, it's smaller and it's printed and posted every single day. So it's constantly evolving.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was an evolution that happened during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were doing this carry-out business.
Yeah.
And the food was cooked but chilled and then had reheating instructions. So
That was the
nice and
first
fresh.
carry-out I did during the
I
pandemic.
remember you mentioned that.
I drove up to, and Kamal brings my dinner out. It was, what fun this has been.
Yeah. So
That's
the chef at the
hospitality.
time-
Yeah.
The chef at the time was just energized. His culinary, just skills were energized again. And he was coming down to the office every couple days. Try this, try this, try this. He's putting food in a box, but he's just really excited about what he's doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, where's this coming from? He said, well, I'm not supervising a lot of people. There's only 3 people in the kitchen, 3 or 4 people in the kitchen. He says, I'm cooking every day, which is what I love to do. That's why I became a chef.
Interesting.
And so I said to him,
a
I said,
happy story.
Yeah.
So I said, what's going to keep you this excited when we reopen and keep the guests excited and get the staff excited? So the next day he said, I'd like to do a smaller menu and change it all the time.
There you
I
go.
said, done, let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then people want to keep coming back to see what's
Sure.
new.
Yeah, right.
I think that's been, I like the smaller,
Yeah.
Shorter, menus myself. But, I just want people to tell me what I'm going to eat on that, that one. We have to let it go. We're running out of
Wow.
time, but I hope
Okay.
you'll join
Well,
us again.
How much
Yeah.
fun.
Because there's a lot to talk about
Yeah.
yet. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We didn't get to everything.
I know.
What the heck?
She didn't get halfway down the first page.
I know. So thanks to the refectory owner, Kamal Boulos.
There you go.
I know. I get it right eventually. For joining us today, we really appreciate it. It's been great.
My pleasure.
And make sure you follow the Refectory on Facebook and wherever. I suppose on your website as well for all the special events coming up on your 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Check that out. And make sure you share this episode with your friends and family, people you know who love to cook and love to eat together. Thanks, of course, to my co-hosts, Rich Terapak and Steve Stover. And thank you to you for joining us. Take care.
Foxland Media. Think big.